Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you all had a wonderful New Year's. For today's video, we're going to talk all about brushes, and I'm just going to go through my routine and give you my all-time favorite brushes and to show you like how I use them and everything. Because last week I had a question about like what kind of brushes I like to use for certain things and how do you know what kind of brushes to use. So I thought I'd just go through, tell you my favorites. I gave like 2 options for each kind of step, so like 2 options for foundation, 2 options for concealer, because I don't do the same exact thing every single day. So depending on how I feel, I switch it up a little bit. So a couple different options, but every brush that I mentioned in this video are like my staples. I could probably just take these brushes, throw away the rest of my brushes, and be completely fine and be able to do my makeup every single day. So definitely some good suggestions in this video. So let's go ahead and get into it. So for foundation, my 2 all-time favorite brushes for foundation are the IT Cosmetics, I believe it's called like the Blurring foundation brush. Everything like it all rubbed off, but pretty sure it's the Blurring one. It's just a flat top. It's really nice and like dense, but still really soft. So I mostly use liquid foundations and tinted moisturizers, so both of these work perfectly for that. So yeah, for this flat top IT Cosmetics one, I like how quick it is and how it covers like a lot of area in a really short amount of time. So usually I use it by going in like upward strokes to blend out and kind of more in like a circular motion as well. And then my other favorite foundation brush is the Rare Beauty foundation brush. I just like the angle of this. And honestly, this is the one brush that you could probably do most of your face makeup with, and I will keep mentioning it throughout this whole video because I use it for not only foundation, I use it for concealer sometimes, I use it for liquid or cream blushes or bronzers. It just kind of is that perfect like dense little tapered brush. And so I definitely use it for multiple different things. So if you're looking for like one brush that will kind of do like all your face makeup, I would definitely recommend this one, especially if you use a lot of creams. And this one, I usually take the foundation on it and then I go in downward motions. It's just, it kind of, the shape of it lends itself to more like blend it downward. So that's how I use that one. For concealer, like I said, I use this brush, the Rare Beauty foundation brush, for concealer as well. So I'll just usually use it more in a patting motion to keep the concealer like close to where I apply it, because concealer, unlike foundation, you kind of want to keep it in a certain area to brighten and cover up any of your blemishes or anything like that. So I more so pat it to kind of keep the concealer more close and in like a pinpoint location, and it really just like blends up really seamlessly. I don't have to like pull or anything. A lot of times under the eyes you don't want to like pull too much because it's such like delicate skin there. So I just kind of pat it and it kind of blends out seamlessly like that. Otherwise, when I want to get a little bit more detailed, I use this one. It's called Airbrush Concealer, and it's from the Sephora brand. I got it in my very first pack of like brushes like ever, so I've had it for a really long time, but these definitely keep up. I've washed them tons and they definitely like keep their value. So I don't think this is probably sold, but one very similar is like this, probably in most brands that have brushes, so I will definitely link ones that are very similar to this, or this one if I can find it. But I know it's very old. So, but this one I use and tap wherever I apply my concealer as well. And it just makes it a little bit easier when you want to be more specific with your concealer. Or if you want like a very minimal amount of concealer. Like sometimes on those days you don't feel like you need a ton of concealer, to kind of use like a smaller brush and just pinpoint exactly where you feel like you need some coverage. That's what this is perfect for. And then into bronzer. For cream or liquid bronzer or contour products, I usually use the Stipple Brush from Real Techniques. It's kind of just the perfect like shape. It's very flat topped, so it's nice to like get in that like kind of divot or crevice of your cheekbone to really like get really detailed in there and make a really nice line, especially for contouring. And it just blends out really like seamlessly, easy, very like doesn't take a lot of work at all. If you've watched past videos, you've seen me use the Rare Beauty foundation brush again for bronzer, for cream bronzers. It works perfectly for that as well. Just the density of it, the shape of it really gets in that like dent or crevice again of your cheekbone to make it really like defined. So just want to mention that I have used this for bronzer and contouring. It works perfectly, just as well as like the Real Techniques Stipple Brush. So just wanted to mention that I do use that as well. For powder bronzer, I always go for my Real Techniques. It says a blush brush on it, but I remember like when I bought it, it was blush or bronzer. Either way, I don't care, I like it. It works really well for it. It's like a nice dome shape. So again, it kind of gets like in that, like right under your cheekbones to make that nice contouring line. So yes, I use this for blush and bronzer. It's like my little powder brush. So for cream or liquid blushes, I go back to the stippling brush again, the Real Techniques one, and blend it out that way. I usually kind of do more circular motions. And yeah, it definitely works for both. Very seamless, very easy to blend out. It's just a stippling brush, so you can really use it for any kind of cream products, any liquid products, things like that. Again, I have used my Rare Beauty one before, especially for cream blushes like the Ilia blush. That's more of like a stick, and it's a lot thicker. Sometimes you need something a little bit more dense to blend it out, so this is perfect for that. And then for powder blushes, I use this little, it's again from Sephora, and again a little bit older, but this kind of like shape of blush brush is super popular, so I'll definitely link some very similar to this, or I use the Real Techniques, like I said, the blush or bronzer brush I use for both. My two favorite powder blush brushes. And then for powder, this goes for either loose powder or pressed powder. If I want to just go over my entire face, powder my whole face, be really quick about it, I use the It Cosmetics. This is the Complexion powder brush. It's just really soft, really fluffy. The kind of more dome shape helps to get like under the eyes and kind of just go with like the contours of your face. So all over powder brush, perfect for that. If I want to get detailed and just go like right under the eyes and right through the T-zone, like I want to keep that glowiness, or I'm wearing just like tinted moisturizer or something like that, and I just want to like set my concealer and my T-zone so I'm not like getting oily throughout the day, then I use this Real Techniques. It's called just a setting brush, but it's the perfect little shape and it's really nice and soft for under the eyes, so it gets right up underneath. And so it's just that perfect shape. You can either like sweep it, or a lot of times I like bounce it or dot it on the skin as well. It's like literally the perfect little setting brush. And for highlighter, I usually go for the Morphe M510 brush. It's just a big fluffy brush, and so it's super easy to apply highlighter. And then once in a while I grab that same setting brush for powder that I use, and that's, I feel like it's a little bit more detailed because you can kind of like pat it on the skin, but I definitely use this for highlighter once in a while too, because it's just that perfect size. So either one of those. So let's get into eyeshadow brushes. I feel like a lot of people get confused on what you should use where, and a lot of that is like trial and error on what you like to use. Are there probably people that say you need to use the exact kind of brush for the exact thing? Yes, but I'm one of those people that I'm like, if it gives you the desired outcome and the desired look that you're going for, and it's the easiest for you to use, then use that. So these are the 3 eyeshadow brushes that I would say are like staples for me. They work every single time, and I'm just used to using them now. Any kind of eyeshadow look I feel like I need to do, I always can accomplish it with these 3 brushes. So the first one is a more fluffy, big blending brush, and it's the Morphe 573. I would say one thing about Morphe brushes are they're a little less quality than like the It Cosmetics brushes. You know, some of like the Rare Beauty brush, some of those higher end brushes, also they're not as nice, or they just don't keep as long, but for the price point you can always replace them. So I find after I wash them, they get a little bit less soft, or kind of like break apart a little bit. But like I said, for the price point, you can definitely it's definitely a lot easier to replace them. So you can kind of decide, but I'm mostly just talking about like the shape of them. I do like the Morphe brushes and I use them all the time, but more of these shapes I would go for is what I recommend for brushes. So like I said, the first one's a big fluffy blending brush. I just use this for like a transition shade or lighter shades, or if I want to just do one shade over the entire eye, I just sweep it on with this. Just it gives it that like diffused look. It's like really easy to blend out anything. So my second little blending brush would be the Morphe M506. It's just a smaller version of that first one. It's still a blending brush, so it's still fluffy and like that dome, but it's a lot more precise. So I usually place darker colors with this, mostly like on the outer like third of my eye and into the crease, just when I need to be a little bit more detailed with the color that I'm placing, but I still want it to be nice and diffused and blend it out. And then I usually go back to that bigger blending brush to then blend out what I just placed with the smaller one. So I feel like a lot of times when you see someone keep like switching between, it gets confusing, like, wait, why'd you just do that? Why do you use that for that? I usually always go back to this bigger blending brush to blend out anything I just placed. So with my lighter shadow with the big blending brush, place my darker shadow when I want to be more detailed with the smaller blending brush, and then I go back to my bigger blending brush to then more so blend that out and just make sure everything's seamless. I like to come back to it just to like make sure everything looks like cohesive. And then the third brush that I would say for eyeshadow that I feel like personally is a need is a flat dome brush. Then this is the Morphe M167 brush, and this is just to place shadow on the lid, and I just usually pat it. I pick up my shadow and pat it like that. To put any shadow on like the lid, I usually use this. And then again, once I place that shadow down, I go back to my very first big blending brush and blend everything together. Kind of my little system that I do. So I hope that helps for anyone that had questions about that. And that's pretty much all the brushes that I use on a daily basis interchangeably. I use a lot of them for different things. But then I just wanted to add 2 more brushes that I feel like are good to have when you need them. The first one is a little like more detailed brush. This is the Morphe M321. I usually use this to blend out eyeliner because it's nice and dense and more detailed. So I apply my eyeliner and then I just go over it and blend it out to make it look really nice and like smoky. So that one's just a good one to have, just a nice little detailed brush when you just need to like really get in there. It's nice and dense to blend anything out. And the other one that I recommend that's just nice to have is the Morphe M421, and it's just a little concealer brush. It's teensy, but it's perfect for cleaning up anything. So like cleaning up lipstick with concealer. I clean up my brows a lot with this when I fill them in and I want them to look really nice and sharp, or I like went out of the line that I wanted to go. I'll just take this and take some concealer and clean it up. It's just one of those like little tools that I feel like are really nice to have when you need to like clean up or really get in there. Liquid eyeliner as well to make it sharp after you apply it, or to clean up because liquid eyeliner is hard. So I wanted to mention that in my opinion, the tools you use for makeup and the makeup itself, they're a lot of times made for intended uses, but it's not that serious. If it works for you and you like to use it, you find it the easiest to use that certain brush for that certain thing, or that certain product for that certain thing, then I think you should use it. So like the Rare Beauty foundation brush, it's called a foundation brush, but I use it for cream blush, cream bronzer, concealer, anything. because I find it the easiest to use and I get my desired look with it. So I just wanted to mention that because when I used to work at Ulta, a lot of people would come in and they'd be like, what, I need a foundation brush, I need a blush brush, and I would recommend something like that I've been using, and they're like, but that says bronzer on it. And I just always had to explain, like, I know that, but I'm like, as someone that loves makeup and has been playing with it for a really long time, I found that this brush works the best for that, even though it's technically made to be like a blush brush. So I just feel like those are just boundaries that you don't need, and if it works the best for you, then I think you should use it. A lot of it is about experimenting and just trying different things and finding what works best for you and what gives you the desired look that you want. And then I just wanted to mention my top 3 brushes ever that you could literally buy and do your whole entire face with if you needed to. And especially if you're starting out doing makeup and you just want like 3 staple brushes, I would say a foundation brush, one that's like tapered like this. I would recommend this Rare Beauty one, but there are ones that are very similar, so it doesn't need to be this one, but something that's shaped like this and something that's more dense, so you can use it for foundation. I've gone through this already a million times. Blush, bronzer, especially cream products, concealer, anything like that. My second brush would be this little setting brush. It's just perfect for powder, highlighter. If you really need, you can use it for blush. So it's just like a multi-use perfect little size of a brush. And the last one would be this big fluffy blending brush for eyeshadow. I've done full eyeshadow looks with just this one brush. So these are the 3 brushes that I get the most use out of and I highly recommend. And they're just brushes you can use in multiple different ways, and they just work every time. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it helped a little bit, and I'm hoping I got out everything I wanted to say about it, but probably didn't. So I hope it was helpful if you're looking for any brushes, looking for some really highly recommended brushes, or just have questions about different techniques and like what to use a brush for. So those are my recommendations based on just like what I like to use and what I find really works through my little makeup journey. So definitely give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and make sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. I'll see you next Friday for another video.